Today we're going to do a restorative mat class for upper back. This is Mike. He's going to be the body moving today. Awesome. So all you're going to need today is a place to lay down on the floor and then a standard sized yoga mat, a towel from your bathroom, whatever it is. You're going to roll it up reasonably tight. So you're going to come lay down on your mat so that your head and your spine are on top of this rolled up yoga mat. Beautiful. And then your arms are going to come out to the side like a T. Don't want your hands to hit anything. If it's okay, bend your knees and place your feet flat on that mat. Great. You're relaxing. You're going to hang out here for about 2 to 3 minutes. So during that time, your chest is relaxing. Let go of your jaw, your neck. Palms are towards the ceiling, and you're trying to take as full of an inhale and exhale as possible. So that means that your stomach will expand, your sides expand. Okay, coming out of that nice little stretch, I want you to take your hands up to the ceiling, palms face towards each other, and your hands are about shoulder distance apart, and they aren't too high by your ears, and they also don't feel like you're trying to shove them all the way away from your ears either. Wonderful. 10 times, you're going to open your arms out to the side slowly, as much as is comfortable, thinking that your shoulder blades are moving on your back as you do so. So they're going to open out into a T. And then they'll come back up. Now this is an exercise, but you're not trying to do it the hardest you possibly can. Think of this kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So baby bear does it not too much, not too little, just the right amount. So you're breathing as you move. The arms open, you feel the shoulder blades move, the hands come back up, shoulder blades move as well. When your arms come wide, the shoulder blades maybe feel like they're moving towards your spine. And then as your hands come closed, you feel like they're moving away from your spine. And you're still breathing. Full inhales, full exhales. After your 10th one, just lay both of your hands down on the floor. Good. And remember, this is about finding a nice stretch through that upper back. So you're going to now move just one arm at a time. Alternating sides. So right hand comes out to the right side first. Feel that shoulder blade move. Hand goes back up. Same thing, left hand. Nice. So as you saw, Mike kind of thought about, could my shoulders move a tiny bit away from my ears? Not an aggressive shoving of the shoulders down and away, just finding a little bit more space for the broadness of your chest. And you still breathe in as you alternate. We're going for 10 total. If you want to do an extra 5 on each side, you're welcome to do so. We're just trying to get things moving in your postural muscles. And if you've been sitting at a desk or bent over a computer or a phone or a tattoo client or a hair client or whatever today, this is a nice opportunity to kind of let yourself do the opposite. So once you've done the same amount on both sides, be it 5 on each side or 10, you'll let your arms come back out wide into a T. Maybe your legs go long if that feels comfortable to you. And I just want you to take 4 full inhales, again, expanding your chest, your stomach, your sides, and your back. And then you exhale all of that air from bottom to top, kind of like pushing out the last toothpaste in a toothpaste tube. We really need to come up with another cue for that. All right. After these 4 breaths, I'd like you to bend your elbows. And you're going to place your useless knuckles, as I call them. Not the ones with your fingernails, not the ones where you'd wear a ring, but those middle knuckles are going up against your temples, palms towards the ceiling. So from here, can you relax your shoulders just a little bit and your neck? Maybe you feel like your armpits could slide your shoulders a tiny bit away from your ears. The useless knuckle, that middle knuckle, stays connected to the side of your temples, and you take your elbows towards each other. And back out. Let's take 5 of these. You're letting your shoulder blades move. You're trying to keep this out of your neck, seeing if maybe your chest and the back of your armpit could help you get some of this motion. If it helps you feel more stable, you can always bend those knees and place your feet flat on the mat. Up to you. You breathe and you move. This is a pec minor stretch. Your pec minor is just like a little tiny muscle that sits above the greater pec major, which is what sits under most of your breast tissue. And then just take your arms back out wide for a moment. Beautiful. Hands will come back up towards the ceiling. Find that little connected spot in between the shoulder blades so your shoulders don't feel like they're trying to run away from you either towards the ceiling or towards your ears. Bend your knees, feet go flat. So the next place we're going to come is to some circles with those arms. I want you to start with small circles, 5 each direction towards the ceiling. Your hands never get any closer to each other than shoulder distance apart. So just make 5 small circles towards the ceiling. Good. You're moving your arms, you're moving in your shoulder joint. Shoulder blades probably move too. We're going for 5 each direction. I think this might be 5. And then 5 the opposite direction. Still breathing, hanging out on this roller. Shoulder blades are moving, maybe some muscles in between them are moving. And then I'm going to get out of the way so that you can make 5 large circles in each direction, which means you're trying to find the fullest range of motion that feels good in your shoulder joint. And you just keep breathing. Good. Backstroke. I think when we switch directions, it'll look similar to butterfly stroke, but not quite, so like don't get too swimmery with it. Good. You're letting your back do what it needs to do, and you're breathing. This is all about moving stuff in between the shoulder blades, especially where you get tight from where you've been sitting or bent over things all day. Full inhales and exhales. Beautiful. From here. Oh yeah. Okay. Hands come up to the ceiling. Your hands are going to stay about shoulder distance apart the whole time. So first, I just want you to bend your elbows wide and let your hands come down as if something was in between them. So elbows bend wide, hands stay about shoulder distance apart. So think elbows come out to the side. And you're going to release these down a little. So it's kind of like here. Is that okay? And then back up to the ceiling, back up in line with your shoulder joint. Good. So you bend those elbows kind of wide. Good. And back up. Can you feel your shoulder blades kind of moving against that? Good. 3. We're going for 10. Maybe you exhale when you're doing work or whenever you're tempted to hold your breath. Good. This isn't aggressive, which is why we're on top of a rolled up mat or blanket or towel, because you want to feel stuff move. And quite frankly, being on top of a foam roller is very challenging, but it makes it really hard to get into these small muscles intentionally. Awesome. From here, I'd like you to draw some lines, thinking that you're trying to release the muscles that are kind of in between the shoulder and your neck, your trap. So you've got a pretend stick in between your hand, and you're going to move your hands left and right so that it feels like your shoulder blades are moving on your back. So they start to come over to the right, your shoulder blades have to move, and then you're going to take them to the left. Same thing, shoulder blades have to move. Let's go for 5 each direction. You're just breathing, letting your shoulder blades kind of move against whatever's underneath you. Again, we're just trying to get some more mobility up here before we play around with stability, especially if you have a sore upper back, just like pretty much everyone in modern life. Awesome. From here, I want you to roll off to your side, facing towards the wall real quick, Mike. And then I'm going to take this out from underneath you, and you're going to lay back down on your back now that you no longer have something underneath you. Bend your knees, and I want you to take your fingertips. You're going to put them underneath the back of your hips for a moment. So you're kind of sitting on top of your fingertips just lightly. Try to release your neck a little bit if you can. I know it's a little uncomfortable for the moment. I just want to move your hips a little bit. So think of yourself like windshield wipers with the legs. Can they go from side to side? Good. And the other side. Good. Try 2 more, just like that. Just letting yourself twist in a way that feels okay. You're still breathing. One more to each side. Great. So, with your fingertips underneath the back of your hips, can you just open your right leg out to the right side, but don't let your pelvis go with it? And then bring it back up. Same thing, other leg. And back up. Let's do 3 more on each side. So you're alternating sides, kind of letting the hip butterfly open a little bit. Your fingertips are behind your hips, so you don't feel any kind of cranking into your low back. And you're still breathing as you move. Julene, why are we doing things for my low back if my upper back is the issue? Because it's all connected. Also, you would not tolerate me well if we only did upper back things for the entirety of this mat class. So, good. You'll bring your knees all the way together, your feet all the way together. And you're going to take your hands out from underneath your hips, bring them out into a big T. So they come out to the sides, palms can be up or down, whichever you prefer. I want you to keep your knees, your feet, and your thighs and your hips stacked, but you're going to twist one direction. So both knees go one direction, your feet will pick up off the mat, so you're kind of laying onto your side. Your shoulders just don't go with you, so it's a big twist in your spine. Good. You're still breathing. If you need to use your hands, you can, but what if you brought those knees up and over to the other side? Beautiful. 2 more each way. Just getting some twist. Making sure that once you land, you're kind of stacked. It keeps your pelvis in a slightly more neutral position. And you'll get your last one to each side. Beautiful. So the knees will come up in the center. Take your hands, you're going to place them behind your own head. Your elbows bend forward like you're making a book out of your arms. Roll over onto your right side. Wonderful. So from here, the knees are going to bend in so they're directly in front of your hips. So more like a 90-degree angle at the hips. Yeah, if you need to scooch a little bit, that's fine. So for a moment, let your elbows be closed-ish. Try to relax your neck and your head. All right, so the top elbow is going to open, and you're going to follow the gaze. That fucked up real bad. Burp, burp, burp. From here, you're going to open the top elbow towards the ceiling, and you're following that elbow with your gaze. So you open the arm, you keep going, you take whatever amount of twist feels good. Maybe your head's down on the floor if that feels okay for you. And then you come back over. Beautiful, 3 more, just like that. You're getting this open and the close. We're getting a big twist through the spine. Hips aren't coming along for the ride. They're pretty much staying stacked. Good, 1 more, just like that. So you've done 4 of these. You'll close the book and the arms will go long so that your palms stack over each other. So they're right out in front of you. Good. Now, same basic principle, except now your gaze is going to follow your top hand. So you start to open yourself towards the ceiling. Your gaze follows and you open it as far as feels good. Can you lay down on the mat at all with your head? Does that feel okay? Good. And then bring it back. 3 more. So we're doing 4 of these, just trying to find some rotation through your spine. You're still breathing. Good. And this is one of those things where you might have a lot or a little rotation. Any amount of movement is better than no movement. Beautiful. Now, the hands are stacked on top of each other. I want you to think about keeping your shoulders stacked on top of each other. You're going to reach this bottom hand further. Oh, I think that fucking camera turned off.
After 30 minutes.
Yep. So, all right, coming back to it. Okay, so you're going to be stacked on your side, shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip, knee over knee. And this time you're going to reach your top hand just a little bit further than the bottom hand. Maybe you feel your shoulder blade move away from your spine and you get a little roll. And then you'll bring yourself back. 3 more of those. So 4 all together. You're reaching forward, you feel shoulder blades move, and then you restack everything. Good. Think about pulling your shoulder back as you roll back. There you go. 2 more. And last one. Wonderful. We're going to roll over, do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to roll over onto your left side. Knees are bent so that they're right in front of your hip joint. And you start out with those bent elbows like a book, holding onto your head. So the elbows come forward to start. Feel like you can breathe. Your gaze will follow the top elbow as it opens out to the side. You try to lay yourself down as much as feels comfortable, and then you bring it back. We're going for 4 of these. You're breathing the whole time. Still breathing, moving. Same thing we did on the other side, really. Once you've got your 4, the arms will come long in front of you. And they stack on top of each other. Maybe your head lays down onto the mat. So you're shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip. Gaze follows the top hand as you open out to the side. And open and twist. Beautiful. And then we close. So 4 of these, moving through the spine the whole time. Now, Mike is about 6'4", so you may be losing sight of some of his appendages as he moves, but perhaps you are not. And that's okay. You only need enough space to move your own body. Once you've gotten these 4 long arm book opener things going, you're taking the top hand and you're just reaching it a little bit further than the bottom hand by moving that shoulder blade a little bit away from the spine. Maybe you roll a little bit and then you bring it all back. So as you can see, Mike is letting his shoulder move with him to move that top hand over the bottom hand. Awesome. Once you've got 4 of these, you're going to roll onto your back. All right, coming up, we're gonna move your pelvis a little bit. This is controlled and intentional. So you're gonna take your hands and they're gonna make a little bit of a triangle. Your fingertips are gonna come above your pubic bone, which is like right above your private parts, and the front of the heels of your hands kind of touches the front of your hip bones. Awesome. So from here, we're just gonna tip your pelvis. I want you to find a place where roughly your pubic bone and your hip bones are level. This means that you have a little curve in your low back, perhaps, like you normally would. Awesome. Without using your legs or your butt muscles, could you tip your pubic bone towards your face and then away from your face? So we're taking 5 each direction. You keep breathing. Remember, it's just Pilates, not a performance. We're just doing this so that your back feels better after whatever kind of day you had. Beautiful. And remember, this is all about those muscles in your core or your stomach or your abs doing the work, because we know that your legs can do the work to make that pelvis move. The next thing we're gonna do is tip side to side. Now, this is a very subtle motion. The reality is your hip is gonna come down towards the floor on each side, only about 1/8 of an inch. So if I were to put my hands on top of your knees, you get a little bit of feedback. So you let your right hip come that tiny bit down towards the floor and then back to the center. Same thing on the other hip. 5 on each side. It's very small. Keep breathing as you move. The goal is not to feel like you're doing kind of a cha-cha, so your hips aren't shifting up towards your armpits. They're moving directly down towards the floor. Is it okay if I put my hands on your hips for these last ones? So it's a little tiny down. What if you kept your legs where they were? So a little tiny down. Yeah, it's very small, very subtle. Even if you're like, I don't understand, fine, you're doing the thing. That's all that matters. So now you know you can go front to back and side to side. Could we tie those together so that you make 5 circles in each direction? So let's say you start with your pubic bone coming towards your face. Can you do it with a little bit less glute or leg? Nice. Now it's coming towards your face. Can it go to the right? From the right, can it go towards your feet? And then your left. To your face, right, feet, left, face, right, feet, left, last one, face, right, feet, left. Give yourself a wiggle. Find yourself back in neutral. We have to go back the opposite direction because it's Pilates. We do both ways, just the way of the world. So this time, I want you to take it towards your face, towards your left, sorry, to your left, to your feet, to the right, to your face, left, feet, right, face, left, feet, right, face, left, feet, right, face. Get yourself back into neutral. Give yourself a little wiggle. Thanks for humoring me for those. So we're gonna build on what we just did. Front edge of your mat, so you have more mat behind you than in front of you. And I want you to bend your knees. So you're scooting way forward, Mike. Now, you're gonna take your hands onto your own shins, and I want you to find a really round spine that even pulls your shins closer to your body, because you're gonna roll like a little ball forward and back. So my dear long-legged friend, your legs must move in closer to you, so step them way in. Now, question, can you find a place where you could tip back a little bit and kind of balance on the back of your sit bones? Good. Could you pull the knees in? Good. Take a big inhale. Exhale, roll yourself onto your back and come back up. We're taking about 6 of these. It doesn't have to be good. You just want to stay round through your spine. If you roll in varying directions, if you make yourself go around the clock, who cares? What if you released your jaw and your neck a little bit? Good. You're just trying to be round through the spine and roll through the spine. We're avoiding a back flap, so mostly supporting on that low back, thinking it's real round and you're trying to release your neck. Wonderful. You'll bring yourself all the way up after your last one. You put your feet down. From here, I'd like you to bring yourself quadruped, so all fours, hands and knees. Hands are under your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. We're going for a classic next. It's a little cat-cow. So again, knees underneath your hip joints, hands are directly underneath your shoulder joints, and you're gonna round your whole spine from top to bottom in a way that feels good to you. So you're rounding it up like a cat. And then you're gonna go the opposite direction, cow. Think about relaxing a little bit in between your shoulder blades and taking some pressure off your neck. We're taking 5 each direction. 2, and cow. Yeah, 3, and cow. Think about relaxing your shoulders away from your ears. Nice. 4, and cow. And 5, and cow. Now I want you to find yourself with a pretty flat back. And what I mean by that is that if I had a charcuterie board, it could hang out kind of across your mid-back without your low back hanging down. Will you show them what that would look like, Mike? Right. Or without you poking it all the way up like a cat. So you want to feel flat-ish. But of course, if you have longer arms or longer legs, that might change what the back of the table looks like here. So knees are directly under your hips. So I want you to bring your knees a little closer together, Mike. Wonderful. From here, I just want you to feel like you're pulling your core, your stomach muscles up and in to support your low back a little bit. Just a tiny bit. And then I want you to keep this shape in your back, but let those stomach muscles hang. It's hard to do. 2 more. So you're pulling your stomach muscles up and in, and then you're letting them hang. Last one. You pull those stomach muscles up and in, you let them hang. Good. Come back to find that pretty flat back that we were talking about. Your head reaches away from your seat feels a little bit away from the head, and you're connected into your armpits versus your neck for this situation. From here, we're going to thread the needle. So I want you to take your right arm, and you're going to thread the needle underneath your left side. Good. As much or as little twist feels good here. We're going for 5. And then maybe you unthread and look towards the ceiling. Sorry, I'll get out of your long-armed way. We're taking 5 here. You're twisting your spine. It's bigger, it's small, but it feels like something you can support and you can breathe while you're doing it. This is 3, and untwist. 4, threading the needle. Unthreading, going the opposite direction. And 5, threading that needle. Unthreading the needle in the opposite direction. Bring that hand down to the mat, move your shoulder blades around a little bit, and we're going to do the same thing, opposite side. So you're threading the needle to your right, and then you unthread the needle, opening to the opposite side. Good. 2, and untwisting. 3. You're breathing the whole time. You're moving and breathing. Hooray. 4. And your last one. You'll untwist, put that hand back down, move your shoulders around just a little bit, and we're going to play around with just your upper back for a moment, if that's okay. If at any point you need to, you can put your elbows on top of something so you're in more of like a kneeling forearm plank, or you can put your fists down if that feels better for you. We're just going to move the shoulder blades. So I want you to think your low back and your stomach are a little engaged, but you're going to round your upper back as much as you can like you're a very angry cat. So your shoulder blades get real wide. Good. Could you find yourself being a chiller cat now? So they're kind of hanging out, but they're wide. Good. Same thing. 5 of these. We're pushing that upper back. You're a grouchy cat, especially in your upper back. And then you're going to start to be a chiller cat. Good. Really focusing on that upper back for 3. This is your 4th one. Think about releasing the neck. Good. And then last one. Very angry upper back. And then releasing that to be nice and long through your spine. Good. From here, I'm trying to think of what no. From here, I'd like you to make some figure eights. So what you're doing is you're drawing a figure eight with your body. Start to lean forward towards your left hand, and then you're going to shift over towards your right hand, and then back towards your left hip, and then over to the right hip, and then back over to that left hand. So you're drawing a big figure eight. We're going for 5 each direction. This is 2. If you get confused, it's fine. We're going to go both ways. It feels good. You should feel snaky in the spine to the best of your ability. You're just moving. You can give your kind of a tail a waggle if that feels good as you're moving. Up to you. 4. And then you'll come through to get your 5th one. And you know the drill. If we go one way, we have to go the other. So you're going back the opposite for 5, still breathing as you move. For 4. For 3. Feel as snaky as you want. For 2. Last one. Make sure you get that full snaky 8. And then I'd like you to find yourself in a child's pose. Your knees can go wide if that feels good for you. If you're feeling really tight through the neck or upper back, you can always reach your hands back towards your feet instead of overhead. This is definitely personal preference for a moment. While you're smushed up like this, maybe you take 3 really big inhales and exhales. You're trying to push air into your back, and you're kind of smushed in the stomach. You're inhaling and you're exhaling. For 2. Last full inhale and full exhale. For 3. All right, we're finishing out our class today with a standing roll down. So I just want you to stand with your feet hip distance apart. Maybe that means that they are exactly as far apart as the head of the femur inside your legs. So your legs are actually a little too wide, Mike, just a tiny bit closer together. Good. All right, from here, your hands come out about shoulder height in front of you, like you're the walking bed. And I want you to imagine that you're gonna peel yourself off a wall, or like you're a sticker getting peeled off of sticker paper. So the crown of your head leads, and you start to round up and over, relaxing the neck if possible, bending the knees when you need to, and then rolling yourself back up. So you're using your stomach muscles, and you're trying to restack yourself over your hips, shoulders, and head. Beautiful. 2 more, just like this. A nice standing roll down. You're moving through your spine, you're breathing. You soften the knees when you need to because there's no reason to hurt your hamstrings now. That's 2. Last one. Roll yourself back up to standing. Place both of your hands on your hips. Relax your neck a tiny bit. Now this time we're going to hinge from your hips, which means that you want to think that just the hip hinge is working and you're keeping your shoulders roughly in line with your hips as you move through space. So hinging from your hips, you hinge forward some amount so that you're looking down at the floor, and then you come back up. If you need to soften your knees a little bit because you have tight hamstrings, go for it. It should give you a slightly better range of motion. And back up. One more just like that. You're reaching your butt away from your head away from your butt, pulling that core in. Stand yourself all the way up. Beautiful. This time, hands come overhead. If you're tall, beware that you don't want to hit the ceiling. And now, starting from the fingertips, peel yourself off that imaginary wall, standing roll down. So you're rolling up and over, head comes with you. You try to release the neck. You soften the knees as soon as you need to. Hands come down underneath your shoulders. Hands are going to come down to the floor. Could you walk yourself out into a plank? So it's 4 little steps on the mat. Hands wind up underneath your shoulders, reaching your head away from your feet away from your head. Walk yourself back in. 4 steps with those hands. And then rolling yourself up as if you could restack yourself directly over your hips. 2 more, just like that. Standing roll down. You bend the knees when you need to. You walk your hands out. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you walk yourself back in. 3, 2, and 1. Rolling yourself up. This is your last one. Take your hands overhead, standing roll down all the way. When your hands come down to the mat, you step them out 4 times to find a plank. You walk yourself back in. Let your hands hang as you roll yourself all the way up to standing. Let your hands come up overhead and they come down to your sides. Awesome. That's it. Thanks for doing this restorative mat class today.